somebody asked me on social media, Leroy, because I was whining about something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really nothing in particular, but I have to know something with Erik Spoelstra, okay? I do feel like people always say, when are you going to call out Spo? I feel like I have. I feel like this is the most blame that the fans have been going at Spo for a while. I think Spo's taken his criticism. He obviously lost in that game against Detroit. Some of the rotation hasn't made sense. You were talking about that, like trying to make heads or tails of it, right?
Yeah, I just get like in his efforts to get a rotation, it just seems like they get in these ruts during games because he's trying to figure out, right, what rotations to use. And that's why I've always said he kind of does better when he only has 8 guys because there's nothing to think about as far as rotation.
Well, you know what the funny thing is? It's definitely been a different year because I even feel like Erik Spoelstra has been just going through it with the whole Jimmy thing. He was like, he basically was like, I love it. I love that I went through that. And I was like, this guy is insane. He is a maniac. But he has some principles, like as a coach, that just don't, they don't make sense. Like Greg Popovich once said, he's like, I hate the 3-pointer, right? I hate the 3-pointer added to our game. But that didn't stop him from making the 2014 Spurs one of the most beautiful teams in terms of moving it and mastering the 3 ball.
Right. I'm tired of hearing when the team scores 8 points that they need to pick it up on defense.
Right. And so
Spo.
There was this dude. But he has this thing that he's patently against, right?
He pulls the Tobin. So he goes fruit ninja with the words so that you think he has a grip on it, right?
Right.
And then he responds by saying, no, we got to be better on the defensive end. I'm like, no.
But he has this thing that he doesn't believe in, and it drives me nuts, which
what
is
it? Playing young guys.
No, he refuses to use his challenge.
Oh,
refuses to use his challenge.
It almost seems like he feels that those guys that use those challenges are beneath him.
Soft. Yeah, I think he thinks coaches who use his challenges are soft. And like yesterday, like Doc Rivers, he used a challenge, which it didn't work because was it Gary Trent who I think put Andrew Wiggins in a Kimura lock while he shot a 3-ball?
Yeah.
But like he used it. It would have been a big momentum swing. And what do you know? It eventually like swung back the way for the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I don't know if it mattered that he used the challenge. Doc, do you think that the challenge, even though it went against you, worked?
I live by this one basic rule, and that is you can't use your timeouts tomorrow.
Exactly, dude.
So all these coaches out there that are saving timeouts and then lose by 10, what you going to put those, you going to go get a meal with those timeouts? No. So if you got an opportunity to maybe keep the ball and use a timeout, then go ahead. Take a and guess what? It usually comes at a time where you can use a timeout anyway. So it's not like the timeout is wasted. You can still talk to your guys. Like, is that any different than calling 3 seconds into the game? No! And calling the timeout. You might as well use a challenge.
I'm trying to figure it out because, like, yesterday, this Damian Lillard was flopping like a fish, dude. Flopping like a fish on Wiggins. And I'm like, please use your challenge, Spo. Please. Like, it was so blatant.
Somebody said, thank you, Newport's Doc.
It was so blatant. And I'm like, please, Spo, please use it. And he goes, nah, not using it. Just puts it in his back pocket. And I just want to know, what is he doing at the end of the year with all these challenges that he saved? Because he never uses them. Never. So that's just one of the things that I wonder with him. I don't understand why Erik Spoelstra is sitting here. And he goes, not the time. Like, it feels to me like he's legitimately saving it. Because if you win, you get it back. But he's so terrified of losing it, even though he's never going to use it.
Right.
He's terrified to use it, or he just doesn't believe in it.
So
I feel like he doesn't believe in it.
We should have a sign at the end of a game. 2 timeouts left.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with them?
We've gotten to a point this year where Erik Spoelstra,
he's got to have 200. He's literally got to have 200 saved over his career, 275 timeouts.
How many challenges has Erik Spoelstra not used? Maybe he's so terrified because of what happened to Detroit. He's like, I'm not wasting any of my timeouts. Can't risk them. We got one coach in town.
He's so shocked because
maybe. But we got one coach in town in Mike McDaniel who can't wait to challenge and always get it wrong. And then we have Erik Spoelstra who will never challenge whether he will definitely be right.
Maybe he can send one up to Hard Rock. He said, hey, Mike, you're terrible at this. Here, I'm gonna transfer. I'm gonna sell you a couple of timeouts. You can use them next week.
Oh, we also have Paul Maurice who gets every challenge right.
Right. And then Paul Maurice yesterday is calling out the officials, and he's like, I wouldn't have challenged it. He's like, I guess he knows more than I do because I wouldn't have challenged it on the goalie interference. But yeah, like I think Mike McDaniel, like you thinking that he ever talks to Erik Spoelstra, he goes, man, Spo, I can't get this challenge thing down. And Spo's looking at me, he goes, you challenge?
Here, Tobin, I got a question for you by Gonzalo.
Mm-hmm.
Will Spo use a challenge or not play Rozier first?
Oof. He's playing Rozier less. I think we're getting there. And I feel bad because, like, there's bigger issues on this team than Terry Rozier.
It's not for lack of effort. Like, I don't have a problem with his effort, with his, how he goes about his business. He just hasn't been good.
Kev just goes, not less enough. He's like, and that's a man who's also lost his confidence because, like, his finger roll, like, he's nearly throwing it behind his head.
Dude, he can't even make layups now.
Like, what's going on with he's completely cooked.
Kale's kind of got in that groove too, where he get right by the rim and he start like bouncing it off the rim. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? You're right there.
I don't know. I mean, I will say this: the Davion Mitchell, I like him as a player. Terrible lob thrower.
Goodness.
He's throwing he's looking like 14 Goran. Remember when Goran first got to the Heat, like 14, 15? Couldn't throw a lob to save his life. And I love you, Gogi, but it was the facts.
But here's the deal, though, and we know the combinations where that works. Don't you have to go back to that when things get in a rut or whatever, right? Like you still guys work well with Kalel. Guys work well with Bam. If those two guys are cooking, you need to get their assistants in there.
It's one of the reasons I'm sick losing Nico. Nico's probably one of your best lob throwers.
Oh yeah. Well, that's because he don't have to lob it that far because he's 6'10". Look at that. He literally looks 13 years old.
I know.
Right? And so is it a finger or a hand?
I think it was. They kept going to the knuckles, like right.
Well,
like,
okay. You know why you can tell it's a finger?
Why?
In the business, we call that buddy tape.
What?
Right? When your friend is broke, you tape his friend next to him for more support.
I think it was a second metatarpal. I don't know which tarpal that is.
That's this one. No, wait. That's the That's the bird finger.
Ooh.
You can play with a broken finger.
I'm trying to think. Let me see. Put the picture back up. Because I always try to figure out which way you go from.
When they went to the
as you go here. Well, so it's by the thumb. So it is.
Yeah, that's when they were touching him on the bench, like they were like touching like right here, and that's like when like he was like the trainer was working on it here, and like it was swelling up like badly. It seemed like.
Oh, so it's the middle finger.
So I don't know.
So no more birds.
He's going back to Miami to have a specialist look at it. We'll see.
Let me tell you, the thing that sucks about hands, people don't realize there's so many bones in there, so many different things going on in there that you got to be careful with how you go about healing it, right? So a lot of times, so for me, with the hamate, there's so many little bones that if you break one, they just take it out. And that's what they do it's called the hook of the hamate. When you break it, they just take it out.